Welcome to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. For over 10 years, giving you the best author reviews, features, and more with the surprises you. All for you, the author. Now kick off your shoes and enjoy the show with your host, me, author H.D. Campbell. Welcome to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. As always, I'm your host, H.D. Campbell. We have another exciting show that's going to take us to another country, all the way back to here. But this time we're going to start right here in Chicago with Renita Williams. Renita Williams have a huge testimony to share. And we have a few audio troubles. I'll keep explaining that. You can hear, but the audio was scratchy. But we had storms on both ends. We decided to go with this interview because she had a powerful testimony to tell, and Satan was not going to stop us from doing this interview. And when God tells you to move, you continue to move. So again, apologize about the interview, but she has a testimony that we could not do in the second take. Then we're going to go to India to talk to Vichitra Bali Khanna. We're going to talk about her book, where we're going back to the days of funny animals, and before kids had technology at 5 years old, and and cell phones and smart TVs. Well, we just read stories about funny animals, and she's written a book about funny animals, and it's selling big time, and we talk about organic farming and a whole lot of things. So it's just an exciting interview. Also, in my 2 cents segment, we're going to talk about a huge mistake that I made as an author early out that nearly cost me my career, but I'm making up for it now, in which I made a mistake that could have actually changed a whole lot of things about me, which was still good for the better, but you live and learn as an author. So stay tuned for that testimony. But when we come back, we're going to start the ball rolling with Renita Williams.
Do you need editing and formatting services for your manuscript or document? Go to HD Campbell Productions, who will offer professional services and reasonable prices. For more information, call HD Campbell at 314-265-9169, or you can send him an email at hdcampbell3@msn.com. Let H.D. Campbell be your editor. As always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Just who is author H.D. Campbell? He's the multi-gene author who can take you on several trips at once. With H.D. Campbell, you can have a romance, you can track a killer, or even stop an international incident. For 30 years and still writing, H.D. Campbell will take you on trips you've never been before. Learn more about him by logging on to hdcampbell3.com or check him out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. Read his rewrites of How to Lose a Black Woman and Late Murder at 10, with a new title coming soon. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit.
Again, a disclaimer. Our interview with Renita Williams had some choppy audio, but you can still hear her. She had a testimony in which she needed to share, in which we really just could not wait for another take. She has stories she needed to get out. She wanted to talk about her books. We need to get so much going on. So here's the interview.
Well, I've been writing pretty much all of my life. By the age of 12, I knew that I wanted to be an author. I honestly thought that I had to wait until I became an adult before I could start writing for publication. But in 2005, I got laid off from work. And that was the first time I decided that I was going to finish what I started, because I had always been writing just continuously, but I hadn't finished anything. And I decided that I was going to finish something. And my first book is called A Heart Reserved for Love. it's a romance novel because that's what I was passionate about. I wanted to write tales of love. My second book, Fearless, Focused, and Determined on Purpose, is actually me writing about my journey to finding my life purpose. And the reason for that is because so many times we're caught up in our day-to-day responsibilities that we put our dreams on hold, and we experience so much chaos, trying to do the right thing, trying to be responsible, that it kind of diminishes the confidence. And I didn't realize that I was one of those people that it had happened to, because I've always felt that, I can do whatever I set my mind to. But once I decided to find what my life purpose was, it uncovered so much about myself. Just the fact that I had lacked confidence, that I wasn't giving it my all because I lacked confidence, and that I wasn't believing that I could truly become who I set out to be. And it was such a wake-up call. I was amazed. I was excited. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to document it, because it's like so many people may be in this space. Every day we're trying to make sure that our needs are met. But enjoying life is going beyond just your needs being met. You should be able to enjoy some of the finer things without having to go into debt or, do something foolish and irresponsible. And when you're trying to do it right, and you're trying to, take the path that you think is best for you, and then you come to this standstill and realize that you actually weren't doing all that you could. And it's like, wow, are you serious? But to find out sooner rather than later, I believe, is the key. So that's how I came to write Fearless, Focused, and Determined on Purpose.
So what actually gave you that push to do that? Because you had already had the romance novel, and now you writing this book about empowerment. What made you that push to write that second book?
Just, I found myself, I had experienced what I call my personal hell on earth. One thing after another. My mom passed. My daughter got shot at the age of 9. My son got jumped on twice. Both times it could have either given him brain damage or it could have cost him his life. Just trying to do all that I can to keep them safe and secure, and I'm like, it's gotta be more, it's gotta be more to life. My mom passed away at the age of 52. That's young for me. So it's like, no, if she can pass away at 52, I have to get on the ball. My daughter got shot. She didn't live a street life. At 9 years old, life should just be fun. And she had been shot. So, I'm like, I have to do everything that I can in the time that I had. Then after my son got jumped on, I was actually attacked and stabbed 9 times in my home. That was a big deal for me, because here I am trying to do better, trying to do what I felt was right for me and my family, and that happened. It was devastating. It made me, question if in fact I could have better, do better for me and my family, and each experience was so traumatic that it was it was taking something out of me. I just felt like life was beating the hell out of me. And it's like, it has to be more. It has to be more. And beyond that, I felt that all of those things happened. I survived them. And I feel like it was God that kept me. All of those things could have caused serious damage. It was taking a toll on me mentally and emotionally, but I came through it. When my mom passed away, I almost lost my mind, literally. But I came through it, and I'm able to talk to you today with a sound mind, to be a confident woman. And it's like experiencing all of that and still being able to sit here and tell you my story. I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I felt like God wants something from me. He did not allow me to go through those things that could have broke me for nothing. So I felt that I had to find out what He wants from me. So I started to seek my life purpose. And in doing that, I uncovered so many ways that I was standing in my own way of success. I thought that I was doing everything that I could by getting up every day. I've been working since the age of 16 consistently. I thought that that was the way. I went to school. I got good grades. I thought that that was the way. I tried to be a positive role model for my kids and anybody else that may have been watching me. And yet, once I tried to figure out what my life purpose, I understood that yes, I was doing something, but I wasn't doing all that I can. And what I needed to take me further was still God on my side, because I can't do it alone. And that was the one thing that was key. I can't do it alone. But beyond that, I needed to be showing up for me. And it seemed that I was showing up for everything and everybody else. And when it came to what I needed and wanted, I was half-stepping. I was trying to do everything quietly. I didn't want to draw too much attention to myself. You know, people may think that I'm trying to be something that I'm not. You know, I might be trying to do too much. You know, it's like I've always wanted to be a romantic fiction author, best-selling author. But along the way, I learned that not only do I want to do that, but I also want to help others. I want to speak. I want to encourage. I want to be a support system for others. And it's like, okay, like, you know, you got to get your stuff together. How you going to show up for somebody else and you're not even showing up for yourself? And it was like, wow, you know, it was so amazing to understand that I was not doing all that I can when I thought that I was. So I wanted to share with anybody that I possibly could, you know, so that they can know, number one, you're not alone. But number two, we have talents, we acquire skills, we have experiences that make us equipped for the journey that we are trying to embark on. And that's the reason why I chose to write Fearless, Focused, and Determined on Purpose.
Well, before I get to that, I want to say this, that I say this with all seriousness. The devil is alive, because when we first started this interview, there was no audio. I have a storm outside which is causing the audio to be funky, but I can still hear you every word. And the interview is going to air with this funky audio, because the devil is not going to stop your message from getting out on my show.
Thank you very much. And that's the same thing we have in the storm here. That's the reason why I have the light off and I have my ring light on, because the storm was actually making my lights flicker. Like my lights kept going out. So I chose not to use my laptop or turn my lights on.
I understand, trust me, I truly understand. Who is actually fighting you on the fact that you can be a best-selling romance author as well as being able to help people in their lives?
You know, I felt like I was my own worst critic. I had these dreams, but it was like, okay, I felt that I wasn't equipped. It's like, you know, I was spending so much time trying to get prepared. And the thing is that I'm prepared because I have been this person my entire life. When they say, do what you love and you'll never work again, this is truly who I have been. If I walk into a room full of people, I'm going to speak to everybody the same. I'm going to conversate with everybody. It was just so amazing to me. Like I said, even with the writing, I have been writing my entire life. There has not been a moment since I was able to pick up a pencil that I have not been reading and writing. In school, all of my teachers knew I was going to get to the end of the line because I was going to read as I was walking to whatever class that we were going to. So now, like I said, trying to understand what my life purpose, I understood that it was the confidence. I had so much chaos going on inside. I have always had a huge support system from my parents, even my kids as they were younger. Now that they're older, my siblings, if I talk to someone and say, this is what I want to do, even if they don't believe it, they're still going to encourage me. They're not going to say, oh, no, you might be doing too much. They're actually going to try to help me figure it out. And it stood out to me when I would see celebrities on the TV at the awards that they would always say, people told me I couldn't do this. People said, I wasn't going to be nothing. My story was the opposite. I had everybody rooting for me. So if I'm trying hard, everybody is rooting for me. Why am I not where I want to be? And it allowed me to look within. I was afraid. I was doubting myself. And that was able to, once I was able to understand those things, I was afraid. I was doubting that I could, do what I set out to do. I was able to gain the confidence that, okay, take your time, but do it. If you make mistakes, it's okay. Learn from them. And it's like, oh, wow, yes, that's how you don't have to have everything perfect. And because we're so passionate about what we're trying to do, it makes us obsessed. We want to get it right. We want it to pay off. When I do what I said I'm gonna do, I want it to be perfect. I want everybody to know I wasn't playing games. I wasn't trying to, BS you. I want you to know that this is the truth. And as a result, we spend so much time trying to get it right that we don't get started at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And see, a lot of times, again, like you said, we're our own worst critics. You actually are the opposite of a lot of people to where, like you just said, you have all the support system, very little haters, but you're stopping yourself, which is so great. So my next question is, with your book, who are you aiming to help?
Honestly, I know that women are fragile, emotionally, especially playing so many roles, the parent, the employee, just being a woman, and things like that. But I also understand that men are not allowed to show emotion without it being considered a sign of weakness. So when a man says that he cares about something other than money or his mother or his kids, it's like as if, he a fool. He's trying to, he's soft and things like that. So I wanted for, I would just say men, women, 25 on up to understand that number one, the chaos comes from the fact that we have emotions towards things, towards situations, towards our behavior, and we try to suppress it by telling ourselves that we don't care. And the reality is that we do care. So I want everybody to, number one, acknowledge that you feel some type of way. Acknowledge why you feel that type of way. And then decide what's the best course of action. Because when you are real with yourself, then you can get to the point that you're trying to get to. You have to be honest with yourself first. And for that reason, I choose men, women, 25 on up, But I do understand that the same thing applies to our youth. So it's like, I'm kind of like torn. It's like I want to reach, men and women my age, but I also want to reach the kids, that are coming up so that they can know, because when you're going through puberty, you're trying to find your own identity. And it's so you battle with all these different emotions and things. And it's like I want them to deal with those emotions so that they can be free to be exactly who they want to be in this life and have the happiness and success that they're striving for. So I just have to say, ages 25 on up, but I can't say that 100% that it's specifically men or women or girls, because I want everybody to know.
Well, the cool thing about it is, ages 25 and up, they can be parents. When they read the book, they can encourage their children by when they read the book. So what you made for adults 25 and up, it can still influence young people. So I mean, that's no problem. So my next question is, I'll switch gears for a second. Tell me about this romance novel.
So the romance novel, the two main characters are Tracy and Maurice. And Tracy she was young, 28. She had not had a family, but she was passionate about having a family. And she had to deal with the, mental and emotional chaos around wanting something that most women can have, but yet she couldn't naturally. She had to find other alternatives. She had planned to be married by the time she was 30, and she was battling with, is this man gonna be able to love me, knowing that I can't birth his child for him. So I wanted to have two people that were one just mainly what's normal in life. You want your mate, the ideal mate. You want a family to go with the ideal mate, and just knowing that as beautiful as you are, you can't do those things the way society, I guess, would say that it should be done, or you're not doing this by the time that your family, your friends, society, everybody else feels that you should do that. So I wanted to put those two in a situation where they're trying to overcome all the stereotypes to get to what they really truly desire and the main thing that's important, which is love. So I wanted them to, go through, have the chaos going on, but find their way through it to get to the heart of it, which is love.
Well, I love the fact you even teaching lessons in this book. So it's just like so freaking awesome. So I love it. So what inspired that book?
Honestly, it's personal. I went to the doctor one time and I was having pelvic pain. The doctor told me, I don't know what's causing the pain, but if we can't find what's causing the pain, we're going to have to give you a hysterectomy. And I was already a parent, so it wasn't a battle, but I thought about it. I had the pleasure of becoming a parent as young as I was. So what happened if I didn't? So I just went through what if, just thinking about, how this may be for somebody else who wanted it. What are the obstacles? What type of toll would it take on them? And also, for me, it came down to the fact that I was only dealing with constipation. So it's very good for you to know your body. It's very good for you to get a second opinion, because I had been going back and forth to the doctor, and they had ran tests, all type of stuff. They could not figure out what was causing me this pain. I saw one doctor by chance, and she said, "You're constipated." I have not had that pain again since she made me aware. Now, just think, if I had allowed them to give me a hysterectomy that I did not even need, every part of my body is healthy. And this is when I was younger. So I had not even begun to really live life, but they were taking away a valuable, a huge part, and for a lot of women, like, I don't know personally about a hysterectomy, but I've heard so many women, and when I decided to write the book, I actually tried to research it. And, so many women were saying how, they dealt with endometriosis and, so many different things that caused them not to be able to have a child. So, I tried to write from their perspective. Like I said, it just came down to that one time, them telling me that I would possibly have to have this. And there I was like, what if?
Wow. See, thank God that you actually did that. You got to fix the pieces and everything.
Yeah, I'm every day I'm thankful, because honestly, it was just that simple. Only constipation. It's like, how many people deal with constipation and they were about to take away my organ? But yes.
I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know, I've been doing this show 10 years. Every interview astounds me. But every so often, again, I can say no one ever surprises me. You again, because see, I met a lot of walking testimonies, but you are the ultimate walking testimony. I mean, you have survived.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You have survived so much. I mean, like I say, this is so awesome. And like I said, the devil can't take away this because of the audio. We're learning so much.
Yes.
So your second book, how have people received your second book?
You said what?
How have your readers received your book? How do they feel about your book?
Everyone who's read it so far has actually been excited. They've actually gotten the points that I was trying to make. And it was so funny because a guy the other day, he like, I felt like he was talking to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so thankful. That's what I want you to know, like, you're not alone. I want you to know, like, this is a real issue. You're not crazy. Like, we want things, we're trying to do right. And, everybody just says it's a book of encouragement. And that's what I aim for. I want everybody to know that it's okay. It's okay to show up for yourself. It's okay to have big dreams, but not only have big dreams, those are big dreams that you can make a reality. You're not trying to do too much. You are ready. You are equipped. Like, you're ready. Like, do it.
Now, here, but that's what switching gears again. Now, I know all day, and I know you're 24/7 job, it is saving people all day. What does Renita Williams like to do for fun? What does she do in her off hours?
I'm gonna say, first of all, it was a little dog on the internet. It's like when you're singing and what you sound like, and the dog was like, how? That's me. I will sing every song that come on. I do not have a singing voice, and I sing. I'm gonna hit every note. I know all the words, but I do not have a singing voice. And when it comes to dancing, I'm the person that's gonna be on the dance floor when the party starts. I'm gonna be on the dance floor when the party over with. I'm gonna be at the next party. Like, I'm ready. Singing and dancing is everything. When they say dance like nobody's watching, that's me. I'm gonna dance until I can't no more. I always tell people, when I'm old and gray and I can't even move no more, I'm going to tap my feet because I'm going to be dancing if I can.
You are a shining example of living out loud. That's why I encourage you to do all the. I can't sing either, but I sing all the doggone time. I can't dance either, but I dance all the doggone time. So yeah, live out loud. Do what you do. That's one thing I love.
Yes,
Do
yes,
what you.
yes, yes, enjoy it.
So where can we? So do you have a website? How can we get to know you? How can we buy your books? How can we get to know you better?
Thank you. Um, RenitaWilliams.com, FearlessYouUnleashed.com, as well as on Facebook is Fearless You Unleashed, as well as on Facebook is Renita Williams. On Instagram is Renita_Williams_writer. My book is on Amazon.
Awesome, awesome. Now please tell me you got more books in the works. Please.
You said what?
Please tell me you got some more books in the works.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Honestly, I told you I'm always writing, but I don't finish. Now, I have actually 5 different stories that I have started. Because it's like, it's always something just coming to you. So it's like, okay, let me get this out. And I'm a person that likes to write longhand. I got so many spiral notebooks and ink pens because that feels good to me. To feel the pen going across the page, it feels wonderful. And it allows me to get in the zone. But as of right now, I have 5 stories going.
Okay, I don't mean to be mean, but hurry up, come on. We got to read more. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
I am so having fun with this interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
So for my final question, I always give my authors the final word. Anything you want to say, any shout out you want to give, whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
Okay. I just want to say to anyone who is working hard every day, trying to make it happen for yourself, for your family, just as a whole, do not doubt yourself. You are ready. You have what it takes. Just take your time. You do not have to work on anyone's timeline but your own. Even if you give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, work on your dream because you can make it a reality.
Awesome. And I'm gonna say one last thing. Again, y'all hear us bad. I'm gonna put disclaimers when this interview airs. The devil is not gonna stop you. Your story needs to be told. And thank you so much for coming on to the office morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
So one last time, we apologize for the audio, but as you can see, she had a lot to talk about. And you can get to know her on her website, RenitaWilliams.com, or you can buy her books on Amazon. And just check her out, and she'll be back on the show soon with better audio, trust me, when she does a new book, when she drops a new joint. So, when we come back, we're going to talk to Vichitra Bali Khanna.
You know, even after 20 years, readers are still captivated with How to Lose a Black Woman. Now, in its second printing, follow the story of Bruce Williams. Shall I say, mild-mannered school teacher in search of love? Using social media, prayer, and a lot of trial and error, Bruce fights to learn what a true relationship is all about. Filled with original poetry by H.D. Campbell, it's a lesson from one young man's point of view. Buy How to Lose a Black Woman on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, in your favorite bookstore, and even on his website at www.hdcampbell3.com. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. By Late Murder at 10 by H.D. Campbell. Former investigative reporter Mark Alexander thought his life hit a slump when a mass shooting results in the murder of a controversial news anchor. Can Mark get out of his head long enough to crack this case? Well, I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to get your own copy of Late Murder at 10 on Amazon.com and coming soon to your favorite bookstore.
Vichitra Bali Khanna, I hope I'm saying her name correctly. She is a wonderful author from India. In fact, that's where I talked to her from. She has a beautiful book about animals and just talking. When I grew up, I loved silly animal books and everything. But then too, I grew up without cell phones, and I had the imagination, and had the imagination to come up with different fantasies and everything. So she just takes you back to that time. Then we talk about other things about organic farming and sitting around listening to story time. We have kids to still do that, but I mean, not like it was back in the day. So, here's the interview.
Okay, so yeah, here's my book. It's called Bali Farm Adventures. And actually, I grew up on a farm. So I was born and brought up on a farm. It was a little different than a regular farm because my grandfather had mechanized farming, and I'm talking about even when I wasn't born. And then he decided that he wanted to go organic, and I think in the 60s he changed completely to organic farming, which was quite against the trend at that time. The trend was to get into more and more mechanized farming, pesticides, so on and so forth. And he changed that. So when I grew up, we had solar cookers, we had biogas plants. He was experimenting on various other, farm resources. At one point of time, he had made one of the largest biogas plant in Asia, which of course later the government made a bigger one than that. But he was very, very far-sighted as a farmer. And we had some, grew up, storytelling was part of the, growing up system. Every evening we would spend some time with our grandparents, with my grandfather, listen to some stories of his childhood, my father's childhood, and, their native homes, etc. So I think storytelling was a very much part of the tradition. And I went to boarding, and then when I kept, life took me to different places. I became an HR professional and worked with a lot of multinationals and Indian companies where I met a lot of different people. And I realized that, my growing up was very different than a lot of people. And my experiences of my childhood on the farm, I felt were very, very interesting for a lot of people that I interacted with. And as luck would have it, my husband went for business to China, and I moved with him a few years back. And there, I started a play school for children at home. Just a handful of family, friends, expat, foreigners basically over there. And I would share them and tell the children, aged between 2 and 6, stories about the farm. And they would turn around and say, "Hey, Vicky, where's the picture book?" And that's what got me thinking. And I said, okay, I think I need to pen down what I speak, what I tell these stories. And I started to write down a few short stories. Intention was to just focus largely for kindergarten kids. And I think children from age 5 to 10 can read it. But below that, I think the parents and the teachers will have to read it out to the younger ones. So these are all actually a lot of stories inspired by my own childhood, my sister's, really true stories. Simple, very simple. Life was very simple indeed. Things were, adventures, coming across a snake, or getting a stray deer in the sugarcane field, and then, things that happen around it. So I think that's something maybe the generation now, the children today, are missing out on, the simplicity. Living in the cities, they've got all the gadgets, they've got the best of resources, but it's the simple life. If I can bring that curiosity, that inquisitiveness for them, for the farm life, for the environment, to care for animals, to care for the environment, and live in harmony with environment. That's what we did. We lived while all this, wildlife was around us. We learned to survive. We learned to, coexist with it. We were taught by our parents how to coexist with them, not why and how not to fear animals, or either they should attack, and how should we, take care of ourselves.
So I mean, I'm just loving your vision to the point where, like you said, right now, everyone's child has their face in a cell phone, watching a TV
Right.
screen, or you know, texting or what have you. Like, I just love the fact that you just bring simplicity back to storytelling. Because, see, me personally, I would be that one annoying kid who's like, hey, where's the book? I read the book. You telling all these stories from where you don't have a book? You get tired of me. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's a wonderful way. It takes you to a world completely different from your own. It's a journey in your mind that you take through with that book. I think it's a very interesting feeling.
See, that is so beautiful. So, what made you decide to want to publish your book and get it out there and get your message out
Okay, I think it's the catalyst were these kids. They said, "Oh, where's the picture book, Vicky?" And that's what got me thinking. And I said, okay, if these kids enjoy it, then maybe there are millions of kids around the world who'll enjoy reading such stories. So I think that gave me the encouragement to actually pen it down, bring it about, get it published. So it was all, everything was, after that was all just accidental journey, I would say, because I worked for some IT companies. I had some reunion with friends, and I said, they said, what are you doing? I said, I'm currently writing a book for children. So somebody said, oh, hey, you know what? I'm illustrating for, children's book. Okay. So one thing led to another, and then, publisher also was again recommended. I sent it to a couple of publishers. Olympia out of them agreed to publish it. um, there's some way if I can give a little tribute to the farmers who work so hard, especially what I noticed in the COVID situation. We didn't need too many fancy clothes. We needed food, to survive, and also to be able to deal with a problem as big as this pandemic.
there. The world is
Right,
getting a little bit too serious. The world's getting a little bit too tech savvy.
right,
I miss those days. So I'm glad you brought those back. And like you said, um, back to the farm, back to simplicity, back to fun
right.
with kids actually playing outside. I love that you're actually, I mean, I know your story has other messages, but it also takes us back when kids played outside. Kids ran, scraped their knees, and and actually had fun.
Yeah, because I think we've all experienced it, and we want these kids also to experience that actually without I mean, okay, this generation cannot do without gadgets, but okay, you can also go ahead and enjoy some fun time outside as well. It doesn't have to be restricted to just one particular style of fun and enjoyment.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So your book is now worldwide. So people will read your book all over the world. How does that feel?
Wow, I think it's a dream come true. It's really a dream come true for me. I worked, like I said, I taught a lot of. For me, there's a small world that I experienced in China. I had children whose parents were French, German, South African, Indian, Chinese, mixed. So there was a little mini world where I was staying there, but now I get to, interact with a bigger world. When people write reviews and they're happy to read those stories to children, children are excited to read those stories. I think, as an author, that feeling is so great,
Yeah.
that sense of uh, contentment, satisfaction that, okay, there's somebody else also enjoys the stories, can relate to it. And I'm surprised children with all the gadgets are enjoying the stories. I thought they would not be able to relate to, parents who've grown up in, 70s, 80s, or 60s, but they're able to enjoy it.
It's funny. My son and daughter, well, they're 15 and 16 now, but they have all the gadgets in the world, but still will pick up a book and read it. And I love that. You know,
Right.
they were always taught you can learn whatever in a book. And now my daughter has actually
Yes.
asked me to help her write a book. So,
Wow, that's amazing.
oh yeah, so I'm very happy. I'm a very happy dad over here right now. so, no,
No,
so
that's amazing. I think you've passed on something really nice to her.
I hope so. Cause I mean, like I say, I'm all ecstatic about it. So as far as well, speaking of inspiration, have you inspired any children to want to write or tell stories?
Um, yes, I think while I was, running this play school at home, um, kids at the age group of 4, 5, and 6, they live in their imagination.
Yeah.
One day they are a dinosaur, tomorrow they are a whale, or or a shark, or somebody's a car, and so they've got their own imagination. And to be really honest, I think they live in the world of stories. So it's really fun to relate to them at that age. I've thoroughly enjoyed. I think I whatever I could teach my best to children, but I learned a lot from them. I learned to go ahead and take that step to write. I learned to put what I've always wanted to do in action, because kids are completely non-judgmental. They
Yeah.
don't care, because they're learning. So I learned from them. It's okay. Let me go ahead and publish it and see how people like it. Let's go and see. At least try.
I'll tell you one thing I will not do on my show, and let's tell you how big my imagination was as a kid. Because as a kid, I was a dinosaur, a superhero, I was a little bit of everything. So,
So
I'm glad.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, because we've all lived in our imagination. And that's the fun part. That's the fun part of growing up.
You see, and which I can tell a lot of the inspiration, like you said earlier, a lot of inspiration came from telling stories. You yourself having a childhood with big imagination and everything. Because a lot of stories you heard, did you see yourself in a lot of those stories?
Yes, I mean, I actually, there are quite a few of them. So, um, I think we had an exposure a lot to English literature as well as Hindi. Um, so, right from Tintins to Archies to Enid Blyton, Hardy Boys,
Oh,
and uh, you know there was an immense world out there. And then there were Indian stories like Chanda Mama and Lotpo Champak, small. So I would say I grew up in a family of linguists, because we had literally 4 language newspapers coming, or 4 to 5 newspapers coming in. So there was English, there was Hindi, there was Urdu, there was Punjabi, and then so literally, because somehow the family had each one had different languages they grew up with. So so we've had a lot of exposure. I went to a boarding school, and reading was very much part of it. And of course, the taste changed over a period of time. From there on, I graduated to maybe Sydney Sheldon's and etc. And then John Grisham's and so on and so forth. So it's been a interesting literary journey. While I still enjoy a lot of illustrations, I enjoy a lot of animation and animated stories. In fact, I would love to go and watch with my friends' kids. If they were making a family plan, and I would say, hey, let's go watch some animation movies. I like, it's a world of imagination that I enjoy. So yes, it's been interesting. We've had some interesting exposure while growing up. And our parents were, like I see you with your daughter, read a book, uh, you know, it'll open your world to a different level. What we read about different countries. There were some magazines that used to come from Russia called Misha for children, and I've read those as well. So and my grandfather had books from Reader's Digest, certain astronomy books, and world history books. So it's been quite an interesting one. I could go on and on. So it's a long one.
Oh, I mean, hey, you can. That's not a problem because I grew up with a lot of books myself. So it's like reading was stressed in my house. But every
Yeah,
time I was over, reading was stressed. So to always learn something or to always be entertained with a story was wonderful.
absolutely. I think I can so relate to that.
So, so my next question is, the book is out. Everybody's wondering, when is the next? Do you have another book inside you? Is any more books coming out? Coming out?
Um,
Or
okay, so yes, I have a few on my mind. One is to continue with the series, some more short stories, because this book has about 6 short stories. I've already started to pen down some more short stories in continuation because there's so many incidents that I can actually relate to. Another one that which is a topic very close to my heart, is my father's experiences, because, India has got a different history. So about 73 years back, that we had a partition, and they actually belonged to the area or the state or province which is now in Pakistan, and their journey, where they lost their entire home, their belongings, their families, and they literally came as refugees in their own country in India. And then how they, rebuilt a farm, cut down jungles, and established this farm. That's the journey I want to tell to a lot of people. That's the story that is really, really dear, and I really hope and wish that I can someday put that down into words and then publish that story. So they've seen a lot of struggle, of migrating, losing out everything. So many family people that were lost in the riots on the way, and then how they rebuilt and restarted their life all over again, and then went on to do a lot of innovation in their life, and not just put the family together, reestablished everything, and ensured that we got a good education, so that we could, stand up on our feet and be there for the world, to face the world.
I challenge you to do that because it's just so much, especially us here in America, don't know about the world. 'Cause a lot of us. So I did a lot of traveling as a kid, but not everyone travels as a kid. Not everyone learns. I challenge you to do that because the more people learn about other cultures, the better the world can get.
Right.
Not a lot of people understand that. Basically, your stories. I'm still excited about the fact because I read some excerpts the other day, and I'm just like truly excited. It's like she had, so that's why I asked if we had any more books because we had to have some more books coming out too.
Okay.
So,
That's great.
so my next question for you is, what's in the future for you coming up? Are there anything? I know we're in the middle of COVID, but do you have any appearances or any virtual signings, any events coming up?
Mhm. Yes. So, okay, I had a, sort of a book launch at one of the bookstores here in India during the COVID, this thing where I actually, couldn't do book signing because, people were not really allowed to go out as much. But, a small book launch with the, book owners and a few friends, we did that. I'm looking to do some Zoom storytelling for children. So that's been scheduled, which I would read out 1 or 2 stories from my book itself, because I think for me the journey is actually from a storyteller to a book writer. So I think I'll enjoy connecting with the children all over again and telling them stories on Zoom. I do intend, once things become good, normal again, I intend to go to schools and promote my book for children in that age bracket. So yes, these are a few plans. I'm working on them, and I'm hoping once the situation is normal, I can actually implement all of these.
Uh, you have to let me know what's going on because I really would like to promote everything that you're doing. So,
Sure, I will. I will.
anything I will say something. I will make a video. I'll do something to promote whatever it is you're doing.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Oh, this is not a problem. My next question is, how can we get to know you? How can we buy your books? How can we how can we get your book? What can we do to get to know you?
Okay. So yeah, the book is there's an ebook available on Kindle. Okay. It's published worldwide and is being sold at Amazon worldwide. So it's available in US, UK, India, everywhere on Amazon. In US, it's also available on Barnes and Nobles. It's available on Olympia site. In fact, even in Australia and all most of the countries where Amazon is, selling things is available. It's available there. So you can order online. It's usually delivered between 2 to 3 days. Some places, maybe Australia, takes longer because it's shipped out of UK, and due to COVID situations, taking about 2 weeks. But everywhere else, about 2 to 3 days.
Awesome, awesome. I'm going to ask you a crazy question. You have a lot of passion. Now I know how people around me feel about my passion. They
Okay.
love it. But how do people around you feel about your passion? Does it radiate like mine does?
Um, so I think amongst my friends and my colleagues, I think they've always known that I was always passionate about the farm, the stories, things related to that, because somewhere I've shared my journey with them. I would like to share that on your platform through this video with the people around the world that uh, farming is a very noble profession, and but unlike earlier years, not too many people want their children to be farmers,
Right.
but it's either they want to be doctors, engineers, or IT, or there are so many other options. Well, those are also wonderful professions. I myself became an HR professional, but I think this is something that provides a profession which is so close to nature, so close to Mother Earth, and that's what I really like about it. You can't live without food. You can live without
No.
a few other gadgets, but you can't live without food. So I think that's where it is. I enjoy that part. I think somewhere I would like to take this to a next level, um, and maybe have, if not get into a profession of farming, but at least have some sort of a farm resort for children to go and experience it.
I truly suggest it because at 6 years old, one of the hardest lessons I ever learned was they asked me where my food came from, and I said the store. That's one of the harshest lessons. Know your food does not come from the store. You buy it at the store, but it doesn't come from. So yeah, but seriously though, I love the fact that your book teaches a lot of basic lessons. I love the fact that I can be entertained and learning at the same time. So it's a double win for me. So, because I'm actually getting these books for my grandchildren. I have grandchildren that would definitely love these books.
I'm sure, so happy that you'd share this joy of mine with with your grandchildren. And I would love to read your daughter's story as well. What she writes, and I think that's a fantastic thing to encourage your child to write and pen down their thoughts and their stories. I think you're doing a credible thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So this is the part of the show where I give you the final word, where you can say whatever you want. You can give advice. You can promote yourself. Whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
I would really love it when the parents and the children actually read the stories. Each story, though they're very simple, have some sort of a learning, some skill set learning, or some sort of moral values, and bonding with animals, with nature. Each animal, each story, it teaches them something valuable that they can relate to in their life. And I would really like it if the parents read out to their children, and children enjoy it and share the reviews with other parents and other children, so that they can enjoy and learn something interesting from the stories, and enjoy the thrilling journey on the Bali Farm adventures.
When we come back, I have a powerful testimony to share about my career in 8D2 sets. But first, Here's what's coming up next on the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell.
Do you need editing and formatting services, promotion, or do you need a press kit? Let H.D. Campbell Productions put together a package to suit your needs. Let us handle your promotion, editing, press kits, photography service, and a lot more. We even do custom videos and videography. To learn more, log on to www.hdcampbell3.com or email us at hdcampbell3@msn.com for a free brochure. You can also contact us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. We guarantee professional services at reasonable prices. Check us out, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Have you seen The Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell? It's the best show you're not watching. Every week we have authors, editors, artists, and others from various industries. There are 3 ways to watch Author's Corner, primarily on our YouTube channel, HD Television, on our HD Television Facebook page, and on our media page at www.hdcampbellmedia.com. It's The Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. Check it out weekly, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. And God bless you.
Welcome to HD's Two Cents. Today, I don't want to give writer's advice per se. I just want to share a testimony with you. When I first started writing as a young kid, my first character I ever created was Sergeant Wise Guy. A lot of you guys know my book, The Sergeant Wise Guy Chronicles, which will be in a second printing coming soon, hopefully next week. But that was my first character. In fact, I wrote a lot of short stories throughout high school based on the character. That was the first character I ever developed, and the character supporting cast around that I've ever developed. I worked very hard on Sergeant Wise Guy. I was having fun, but I worked around that character very, very hard. The mistake I made was I allowed too many people to get into my head about Sergeant Wise Guy. Like, for example, people often told me, see, I researched a lot about terrorism and such back when it was a dirty little government secret that you actually only saw on the national news, on the national stage. And a lot of the plots, people would say, well, the news would have done that by now, or that's far-fetched, but they didn't know international terrorism like I did. I just studied it. Through my experience of reporting it and everything, I knew a lot about terrorism. People dismiss it as sci-fi, which I never understood why spy novels were considered that, but that's all beyond me. Because they watched a lot of James Bond do some superhero stuff, and it was more like, that's not even how Bond's character even acts in the novels. So, long story short, eventually I was told, I actually ignored an invitation to a publisher to get Sergeant Wise got published because I was told, well, you know, the book, I actually started listening to people where, oh, their book is this book is that, which there are today not a lot, if any, black spy novels out there. Then I was eventually told, maybe your first book out should not be Sergeant Wise Guy because of this, that, the other. Well, that's how Lose a Black Woman was born, and I'm glad you guys love it very much. And it also introduced me to other forms of storytelling, which is also great. I'm glad you love it too. But my biggest regret was not getting Sergeant Wise Guy out there because I listened to so many people. Then 9/11 happened, and people started, people who actually doubted me, a couple people said, oh, wow, this actually, yes. And I'm trying, and I kind of was angry at that point, and I would tell them, so you think the hunt for Osama bin Laden is science fiction now? Do you think that Al Qaeda and ISIS and all these people science fiction characters you see on television? Then NCIS came out. NCIS plots are a lot like my Sergeant Wise Guy plots. Now everybody's a believer. And to this day, there's still no black spy novels out there that really with a dominant black character. So that's why I'm working hard on this. I'm working hard to not only make up for this, but to prove something to myself that everyone can give themselves a second chance. I'm giving myself a second chance. I'm not going to let people deter me from what I did. I've never told anyone this before. You guys are the first to know that while I gave advice to you guys about never letting people deter you from your dream, never letting people deter you from this, I was the biggest hypocrite at that time because I listened to other people. So my advice to you guys is follow your dreams. If I tell you don't let people deter you, don't let people deter you. Just because they like to. And the people trying to push me weren't even writers or readers for that fact. These were just people who just felt for whatever reason they just didn't see my book being successful because it was a subject that they didn't like. Or it was a subject that was different. Well, but I digress. That's the Author's Corner. Peace. Stay tuned for 2 more authors coming up. And stay tuned next week. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. And God bless you.